10 exercises, hit all of your muscle groups. These are the ones that I do every single time when I'm working out. Hey guys, Mark McKillier here with Live Anabolic, and today I've put together a list of my 10 favorite exercises, period. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you videos of me doing each of these 10 exercises and giving you kind of pointers and tips in each of the videos. Now, just to kind of let you know, I'm going to step through them real quick and then we'll just get to the video. So, number one, and this is not in any particular order. This is not in my favorite order, okay? I broke these out really and created them per body part. So, the first two exercises target your chest. Cable flies and incline chest press. All right, now I'm gonna give you 3 exercises for your legs. Leg press machine, leg extension machine, and leg curl machine. Now you're gonna notice something here. Chest is a pretty big muscle group, so 2 different exercises. Legs is really big, lots of muscles, 3 different exercises, okay? Now, exercise number 6, we're gonna target our shoulders. 1 exercise, lateral raises. That's my favorite. Now, I'm not saying I only do lateral raises for my shoulders when I work out, right? But if I, that is an exercise that I do every single time when I'm hitting my shoulders, okay? Exercise number 7, alternating bicep curls. Man, love those. But once again, I just picked one favorite because it's a small muscle group, okay? Exercise 8, tricep cable push downs, all right? Once again, another small muscle group, only one favorite exercise. But like I mentioned earlier, I probably typically will do 2 different exercises, sometimes 3 different exercises when I'm hitting my triceps, but I always do tricep cable pushdowns. And then finally, what's the last muscle group we haven't hit yet? Our back. All right, that needs 2 exercises because it's a big muscle group and it takes 2 different exercises to hit all 17 of those little different muscles that comprise our back. So number 9 would be cable rows, okay? So that would be seated cable rows. And the final, number 10, cable pull downs, all right? So 10 exercises, hit all of your muscle groups. These are the ones that I do every single time when I'm working out. All right, without further ado, let's go to the examples of every single exercise. Okay guys, we're on the cable crossover machine right now. This is a fantastic machine where you can do all kinds of different exercises and not just for chest. But for the time being, we're gonna be focusing on chest. Now, notice I have the pulleys at their highest position right here, okay? I'm gonna start doing some chest flies, but when the pulleys are up high, I'm gonna be pulling down low. That's gonna emphasize my lower pecs, all right? Let me show you how to do this. I'm gonna take a big step forward here. All right. Notice my elbows are gonna be slightly bent and they're gonna keep that same bend in them throughout the full range of motion. So guys, if you wanna try to envision something, pretend like you're hugging a big giant barrel, okay? Also, I want you to notice the full range of motion I'm getting here and how nice and slow and controlled, okay? I see a lot of people use terrible form on this machine. I see people do this. That's a press, all right? We're doing a fly, okay? Ugh. Okay, I'm sitting on a select weight machine right now. This just happens to be an incline chest press. Remember guys, I like to spend a lot of time focusing on my upper chest simply because that's typically, for most guys, the hardest part of your muscle to grow. All right, guys, this is a seated leg press machine. Now, not all gyms are going to have this piece of equipment. All gyms will have
the leg press machine where you lay on your back and you push the sled up and down and you just have to add the weights, the plates, okay? This is a pin-loaded machine. Now this is also a wonderful full lower body exercise, guys. And just like the leg press machine where I'm laying on my back pushing up, I can put my feet down low on this pad or up high on the pad. Just like the other leg press machine, I like to move my feet around. So I like to do one set with my feet relatively low, okay? This is also a good machine for guys with a bad back because basically I feel no stress on my lower back at all. All the weight is going through my lower body, my quads, my hamstrings, and my glutes, and it's being pushed into my pelvic bone, which is pushing against this pad. It actually feels great on my lower back. Got a couple handles here. Guys, control the weight up and down. All right, don't come down here and bounce off the bottom like I see some guys do, okay? Don't do that. You know, control it at the bottom and then explode up. Okay, then after you do a set with your feet down low, take a little break, a little 60-second break, come back, put your feet up near the top of the platform, try it again. Guys, trust me, pay attention. You're gonna feel the emphasis change. You're gonna feel more stress in your hamstrings and your glutes now. You're still gonna be getting a good quadricep or thigh workout, but a lot of the focus has shifted to the underside of your legs when you move your feet up high on the platform here. It's the same exact technique. Slow controlled movement up and down. Guys, wonderful exercise for anybody that has a bad back. You need to try this. This may be the salvation exercise for guys with bad backs. All right, guys, this is the leg extension machine here. This, of course, is going to target our quads. Very similar in concept to the leg curl machine, the seated leg curl, in that we have several different adjustments here. Let me show you how this works. Every gym is going to have a machine similar to this. And it needs to be adjustable, of course, to fit all the different heights of the different guys in the gym. So this adjusts where the pad hits your shin, okay? I like to have it down close to my ankle, okay? This adjusts the range of motion, okay? So I want full range of motion, so I'm gonna have it all the way here. And then, of course, you have an adjustment for the back pad, which will determine where your knees are relative to the pivot point of this arm, okay? Now, this is an exercise, guys, that can be done wrong and you can hurt yourself. If you try to do too much weight and if you use bad form and try to jerk the weight up, you really can damage your knees. So guys, pay attention here. Don't go overboard with a real heavy weight. You can use a modest weight and just use a good, steady, smooth, controlled movement up and down, okay? Listen to your bodies. This is a machine that you really need to pay attention to your knees. If you start to feel pain or something feels weird going on inside your knee joints, just stop, give up. You may have to avoid this machine forever, okay? I don't have that problem. I really do like this exercise. Now, this is never a primary leg exercise because this is an isolation movement. We're only working our quads. We're not getting our glutes. We're not getting our hamstrings, okay? So I typically do this near the end of a workout. One good thing about this exercise, guys, is after you do 10, 12 reps, man, you will feel an incredible burn in your quads. Fantastic way to isolate your quadriceps. Just be careful. Don't do too much weight and don't jerk the weight up and down. Use good form. Okay, guys, this is what's called a seated leg curl machine, okay? This is a great exercise. I actually love doing this. I do this basically every time I do a leg workout. The problem is, guys, it takes a little getting used to because you need to adjust several things here. So let me show you basically the form here. I'm going to be pulling this pad down towards my butt. So I can adjust this pad right here where it hits on underneath my calves and my ankles. And then I have another adjustment here up and down, how high up do I want to come? I want to get full range of motion, so I adjust the pad all the way up, and then I have the pad all the way out near my ankles, and then this is the last adjustment here. Well, of course, the back is the adjustment, forwards and backwards. And then the last thing you do is you bring this pad down and lock it in place on top of your thighs, okay? Now, it's going to be real straightforward. I'm just going to bring my toes back, point my toes back towards my kneecaps, and then I'm going to curl the pad down towards my butt, okay? It's basically the same movement as a prone curl machine where you're laying on your stomach, but this time we're just sitting straight up and down. It does work my hamstrings, but it does hit them from a different angle, just like all these different machines that work the same muscle group will get those muscles in a slightly different way, put the emphasis on the different muscle fibers of the same muscle group. And so it's always a good idea to experiment, see which one you feel works better for you. But you can also do both leg curl machines on the same day. There's nothing wrong with doing two different machines or exercises for the same muscle group. Leg curl machines seated. I like it.
All right, lateral dumbbell raises are one of the best exercises you can do for your shoulders. Matter of fact, it's literally my single favorite shoulder exercise. But first of all, guys, there's the right way and the wrong way to do it. So before I pick up the dumbbells, I want to just talk about the form, okay? So I see guys doing it completely wrong at the gym, and they bend over and they swing the dumbbells up like this, and they use their back and momentum. All right, we don't want to do that. Now the other thing is, you don't need to have straight arms. I don't want you locking your elbows out. So we're going to have just kind of a nice normal bend in your elbows. We're going to grab the dumbbells and we're going to focus on bringing our elbows up. So don't think about the hands. Don't worry about trying to bring the dumbbells up. I want you to, that mind muscle connection, I want it to be raising your elbows up. Just to shoulder level, okay? Let me show you how to do it. All right, here we go. You cannot do much weight when you're doing this exercise, guys. So right here, look at my elbows, boom. And I'm controlling the weight up and down, okay? No swinging, all right? And notice how the bend in my elbow stays constant throughout the full range of motion, all right? Now guys, this is focusing on the lateral head of my delts. Remember, we got three different heads, the front, the back, and the laterals, okay? So really getting a lot of work here. This is a fantastic way to build really big, wide shoulders. I love doing the alternating bicep curl. So it's the same technique, except we can just focus on one arm at a time. And notice how I actually look at the arm that's curling the dumbbell, okay? So I slightly lean to that side with my head, and I look at my arm and really focus on slowly bringing the dumbbell up. And don't use momentum, guys. All right, that is one of the big mistakes I see at the gym, is people doing this, okay? You accomplish very little. So this is what we go to the gym for, guys. Everybody wants big arms, and this is a great way to hit those biceps.
All right, guys, I'm back on a cable machine here, and I consider this probably the #1 best tricep exercise, period. It's the mainstay of my tricep workout, and that is the cable pushdowns, okay? Now, there's lots of different ways to do this exercise, okay? So I'm going to give you several examples here. I really like doing the ropes. Now, remember, when I'm using the ropes, look at the position of my hands, okay? So I'm kind of in this neutral position. My hands, my palms are not facing down, okay? And that's because the ropes just naturally force you into that position. Now, I don't stand real close to the machine. I take just a little baby step back, okay? All right, and then I like to slightly bend over, okay? Just a slight bend in my torso, okay? Keep my back straight, and then my goal when I'm doing this is to try to keep my elbows as still as possible. You know, that's kind of a theme you hear me talk about a lot when we're doing biceps and triceps is trying to keep your elbows still to your side. Okay, this is another exercise, guys, that I see tons of people. Man, they yank the weight down like this. Man, that's just terrible. That's just stupid. You're not really going to hurt yourself, but you're just not accomplishing a whole lot. Okay, so I love this exercise. And another thing we can do is just change the way we hit our triceps. I'm switching over from the ropes to a straight bar here now. So instead of doing my triceps like this with my hands in a neutral position, this straight bar is going to force me to use an overhand grip. Okay, same exact technique, but because I've really changed the position of my hand and hence my wrists, I'm hitting my triceps from a different angle. And let me show you something, guys, here. Just kind of focus on the tricep muscle back here. So as I twist my arm like this, see how my wrist position is changing? You can see the tricep muscle changes up here, okay? Same thing when I'm bent like this. Okay, so what we're trying to do is, of course, there's 3 different muscles, hence tricep, okay? And so you're trying to engage all 3 muscles. And whatever exercise we're doing, we are using all 3 muscle heads, but we're putting more or less emphasis on the different heads depending on our grip position, okay? So overhand grip like this. I have the rope grip, which puts me in a neutral position, and then you can go with an underhand grip, okay? Now, guys, this is one thing I want you to be a little careful about, okay? An underhand grip, you'll notice when I'm at the bottom, okay, my thumb is basically the only thing on top of that bar that's preventing this bar from slipping out of my hands and shooting up and hitting me in the face, okay? So that's one thing you really need to be careful about. So if you step away from the machine a little further on an underhand grip, if the bar slips out of my hands, it's going to move up and towards the machine away from my face. If I'm real close over here, and if I'm using a heavy weight and I'm really fatigued and it slips out of my hands, because remember, my thumb is the only thing on top of the bar, okay, at the bottom of the movement. So if this thing gives way, if my thumb's let go, that bar's going to come up and hit me in the face, okay? So let me show you the trick for doing underhand grip triceps. And I always do underhand grip in every single exercise, tricep workout. And that's because almost every other exercise we do for our triceps is some kind of an overhand grip. Skull crushers, overhand, okay? You know, the overhead dumbbell extension, you have your palms in kind of an overhand position. So I want to get at least one exercise in when I have to rotate my wrist completely 180 degrees for an underhand grip. So it's going to affect the triceps from a much different angle. So when you do this, with one hand, I'm off to the side, okay? And it's just much safer, okay? I have a much better mind-muscle connection. And if it slips out of my hand at the very bottom, the handle is off to the side of my face. It's not going to hit me over here. It'll come up to the side. So 3 great different grip positions, same exercise, same machine. I didn't have to move a step. This, my friends, is the #1 thing for hitting triceps. All right, guys, another one of the basic exercises for working your back is the cable row machine. All right, now this exercise targets more of your inner back muscles and not quite so much of your lat. Now remember, your back is made up of about 17 different muscle groups. So when we're doing lat pulls downs or when we're doing rows, we're really working almost all the muscles in our back, but we're just placing more emphasis on one group of muscles versus the others. So unlike lat pull downs, where you're pulling down and you're targeting this muscle group in your back, our rows will still get our lats to some degree, but they'll place much more emphasis on the middle muscles of your back and your upper back, your traps. All right, let me show you what this several different ways to do this. And basically, all I'm going to do is change my grip position. And you can target slightly different areas of your back. We're going to start off with kind of a medium grip here, a little bit wider than my shoulders. One thing, guys, don't lock out your knees. Keep a slight bend in your knees. That'll take a lot of pressure off your lower back, especially when you start doing heavier weight. Now, there's a couple ways to do this, guys. Both ways are acceptable if you do the form correctly. One way is where you keep your upper back and your chest relatively stationary. This is another exercise, guys, that I see people really use horrible form on. They'll start swinging the weight and yanking it. All right, so you can do it either this way. You want to keep your back really straight. I like to feel like it's almost arched. All right, so this is really effective. Now you can bend forward, okay, and then bring it back all in one nice smooth motion. So long as you're not jerking it or using momentum, this is also a very proper form and a very effective way to do this exercise. Now, all I have to do is move my hands out here. I'm going to be doing the same rowing exercise, but just with a wide grip. It's going to target the muscles in my back from a slightly different angle. So I can do it with a straight back, stationary, or I can slightly bend forward and control the weight throughout the entire movement. Either way is fine. If bending forward for you guys feels like it's putting too much stress on your lower back, or if it causes pain, just listen to your body, guys. Just don't do it. This is a great way right here, okay? And then, of course, we can go with a reverse grip, and I'm going to be using a relatively narrow grip here. I can feel my biceps getting more involved in the exercise when I do an underhand or reverse grip, so I normally don't do that. And then finally, guys, I like to change it up. I really like using close grip handles a lot here. This feels, especially when I'm using a close grip, much better on my wrists and my elbows, because it puts my hands in a neutral position. And I like to bring it up to my chest and hold it for about a half count. I see a lot of guys kind of doing this. And if you hold it for a half count, maybe even a 2 count, 1,000, 2,000, man, you'll really feel those muscles in your middle and upper back. And guys, fantastic exercise. You cannot skip this. There's an old saying, you got to row to grow. All right, guys, as you can see, I'm here on the lat pull down machine. This is probably one of the 2 or 3 most basic exercises for your back. We're going to be targeting our lats right here, and I'm going to show you several different ways to do this. Now, I like to take a kind of a medium grip, which is just a little bit wider than shoulder grips. And this is one of the exercises that I see people use terrible form on all the time. All right, guys, I'm going to kind of talk you through this. At the top, see how I've really let my shoulders extend, my arms, my elbows are straight. And then I slowly bring it down to my chest. Now, when I do that, I lean back a little bit, 6 to 8 inches, okay? That's fine. What I see a lot of people doing is they put too much weight on here and they yank it down and start swinging back and forth right here. Besides not working very well as far as building your lats, it can really hurt your shoulder joints because you're letting the weight jerk you all the way to the top. So this is a medium grip, and I want to show you a couple of different ways to change this thing up. Man, there's tons of exercises And you can really modify them by just getting a little creative and just changing grip position, different types of grips. Now, I'm gonna go with a Y grip here, okay? Now, when you go with a real wide grip, typically you can't use as much weight, but we're just hitting our back muscles, specifically our lats, from a slightly different angle. And like just about everything else, I'm a big believer in changing things up and attacking all those muscle fibers and really keeping them confused, okay? So wide grip, and of course, we can go with a narrow grip with a straight bar, okay? I'm not gonna change the bar here, I'm just gonna go with a narrow grip. Same thing. Nice, slow, controlled movement all the way up and all the way down. Lean back just slightly as I pull the bar down. And then I can go with a reverse grip or underhand grip. All right. Now this is going to get your biceps more involved in the movement. So I don't usually do this, but it is still a good way to. I normally don't do this because it gets the biceps more involved in the movement, but still it's a good way to mix things up. And then finally, guys, a real quick change here. I'm gonna show you another way. Put a different handle on here. Okay. This is another way to do close grip lat pull downs. I prefer to use this handle when I'm doing a close grip because it puts your hands in a neutral position and it's much more comfortable on your forearms and your elbows and your wrists. All right, guys, one machine, about 4 different exercises. Fantastic way to hit your back.
All right, guys, it's kind of a long video, but that's a lot of exercises, and there's a lot to say about each of those exercises. So, you know, I had a good time putting this list together, and I think it will serve you well if you incorporate those into your workouts as well. And then finally, guys, remember, you got to stick with it and never give up on yourself.